Hey everyone, welcome back. Happy holidays to you and yours. And today I'm going to be reviewing / comparison GOODMAN's BERGDORF GOODMAN by the house of ROJA Films. The newest, which is on your right, was just released, and it's a limited edition. I think the first wave is sold out. I think there will be more, but I don't take my word for that. As far as I know, I was lucky enough to get one of the last bottles available at BERGDORF GOODMAN. And as you can see, GOODMAN's the original, which was released back in 2015 or 2016. So, you know, we're gonna do a little comparison here. I kind of had an idea once GOODMAN's was discontinued. It's now a discontinued fragrance. And somehow, some way, they were going to release it, and they reimagined it, and they made some tweaks to it. Now, enjoying my morning cup of coffee. Now, it has changed slightly. It is pretty much the same fragrance, only they tweaked it. And let's go over the notes. We're gonna go over the notes, being its comparison, the top notes from GOODMAN's versus the new BERGDORF GOODMAN. And let's do it. Okay, so the GOODMAN's, all right, it's a spicy, woody, floral type fragrance. And the top notes are bergamot and mandarin orange. Now, the BERGDORF GOODMAN, the new release, is listed as a cheaper fragrance. So there's your difference right there. And the top notes are pretty much the same, the bergamot and the mandarin. All right. So in the mid, we have on the GOODMAN side, neroli, jasmine, rose, and ylang ylang. Okay. On the BERGDORF GOODMAN side, we have rose, neroli, jasmine, the ylang ylang, and a mayflower. Okay. At the base, we have, let me compare. The GOODMAN's, we have vetiver, olibanum, coriander, patchouli, castoreum, musk, cinnamon, cardamom, cedar, and civet. On the BERGDORF GOODMAN side, the base notes are cardamom, coriander, cinnamon, patchouli, okay, vetiver, cedarwood, frankincense, which is the olibanum, and musk. So there's your difference. Between the two, they added the musk. They got rid of the civet. Let's see, they added the patchouli and the frankincense, which is the olibanum on the GOODMAN side, only they labeled it a little bit different. So, but the frankincense, you know, they added that. So there's your difference, is at the base. But in the opening, on the GOODMAN side, I get this blast of citrus and woods, and it's slightly animalic. Okay, that's the bergamot and the mandarin orange. On the BERGDORF GOODMAN side, the new release, we have the blast of citrus, and I mean a bright citrus. On the GOODMAN side, the original, you get those woods right off the top. The woods appear right off the top, as to where the BERGDORF GOODMAN, the new release, it's more citrusy and it's more bright. Now, it's not a citrus fragrance, okay? It's just that the citruses are more bright at the top of the Bergdorf Goodman, the new release, right? I don't get as the animalic. Now, these are both my scents of the day, okay? And I've had both of them on, one on each arm for the last 2 hours. So, with that said, I'm gonna sniff my left arm and my right. Now, let's see, I put that on at 7:30 this morning. So it's, about 10:15. So we're talking 3 hours in, almost. So, on both fragrances, the floral stay in the backdrop, very toned down, and let me see. In general, they're not very complex fragrances. So they're pretty much straightforward. So, they have, of course, with ROJA's note breakdown, there's always an abundance of notes in the fragrance, which you can't pick one out. You could pick out the citruses and then maybe you get that patchouli, but there's always a list full of notes in the fragrance. Goodman's has more of a woody aspect, right? So I get more woods from the Goodmans. On the Bergdorf Goodman side, the new release, the top intensifies after a couple hours. So that opening of the Goodmans, it had the citrus, but there's more woods. There's more woods in the Goodmans, as to where that opening of the Bergdorf Goodman, the new release, the opening intensifies. So that bright citrus that you're getting, like I said, it's not the citrus, like a citrus fragrance, but that bright citrus opening intensifies, it gains a little bit more depth, okay? So on the Goodman side, the olibanum or the frankincense is not as pronounced as in the new release side. So you're getting more of that frankincense, really nice. It's the way it smooths, it intensifies, but there's the way the way it develops, it flourishes. Whereas the Goodmans, you get that intense woodiness, right? So the Bergdorf Goodmans is brighter and richer at this point. That's 2 hours in for most part. The supporting mids, you have the neroli, the jasmine, the rosemary, the rose, the ylang ylang. The Mayflower gives it more of an earthy type. It's not, I can't really pick out the Mayflower in the Bergdorf Goodman. Okay, so the mids are pretty much the same, right? So I don't think they're that much of a factor, because towards the end, okay, when you start getting towards the base, that's where you really start to notice the difference in how the fragrance is eventually finishing its development, okay? Now, as far as at this point, 2-3 hours in, I wore this last night. I went to a dinner party last night. I wore the Bergdorf Goodman, and let me tell you, if you were to ask me right now at this point, I heavily favor the Bergdorf Goodman. The way they reimagine this it's just incredible. The Goodman's is more of a woody scent. So now, past the 2-3 hour mark, the Goodman stays where the woody and there's the patchouli starts to pop in, right? It's a little more on the earthy side, as to where the Bergdorf Goodman, the new release, starts getting a little musky, and the coriander stands out, staying bright and fresh and slightly sweet. It's a little bit more sweeter now. The Bergdorf Goodman moves on the sweeter side, but not sweet as in, you know how sweet can get. It's not sugary sweet, or it's not floral sweet, right? It stays fresh. It maintains that freshness that we had and the intense depth we had in the opening to the mid, right? Okay? So that's where, you know, the difference starts to come out. Now, the Goodmans, throughout, you still get that animalic that pops out, which, you know, it balances it out pretty much, because on the Bergdorf Goodman sign, you don't have that animalic to balance it out, right? So it stays, the Goodman's stays woody, okay? And you get that little bit of patchouli, but that's pretty much how, you know, Goodman's is going to develop. You're in that woody stage in the 6 to 8 hours, and the Bergdorf Goodman, the new release, it stays bright, and you get the woods, and the patchouli starts to pop out, okay? This is a real nice, smooth patchouli. It's patchouli. You get that patchouli. You get the woods, and you get that musky patchouli. It's amazing how the Bergdorf Goodman stays intense. The fragrance stays intense throughout, and the longevity is 10 plus hours, as to where the Goodman's, the original release, starts becoming a skin scent at the 6 to 8 hours. But that Bergdorf Goodman, it just keeps going. You know, I was wafting all night. So when I got home, you know, I put on my loungewear to go to bed, and I can, you know, I watch TV a little bit, wind down, had a cup of tea, and the Bergdorf Goodman, the new release, was just, for a better term, radiated off from the warmth, because it had a little blanket on, and you could smell the wafts of the patchouli and the musk coming out, right? So that's what I'm getting on the Bergdorf Goodman. And so the projection and longevity of the new Bergdorf Goodman is, you know, 10 to 12 hours, like I said, whereas the Goodman's, you know, it started becoming a skin scent. Okay, so overall, the way to say, I don't know if you remember where they discontinued Oligarch, and they released the Isola Blue, the way they reimagined that one. The new version, say, of Isola Blue, of Oligarch, and the Bergdorf Goodman, okay, they're more intense, they're bright, they're fresh, with less woods, right? And more muskiness. So you got that bright, intense muskiness. I really do love the way they reimagined those two fragrances, okay? You know, so if you were to have one or the other, GOODMAN's is a little bit more distinguished. It's a woody, it's more formal, right? And the Bergdorf GOODMAN, the new release, is a little bit more on the playful side, right? So, I think, okay, I do prefer the Bergdorf GOODMAN, the new release. It's a much better scent, and I can see why they discontinued GOODMAN's. GOODMAN's needed to be reworked. If I were to do a 1 to 5 scale, I would have always said GOODMAN's was a 3. As to where this Bergdorf GOODMAN, this new release, that's a 5. So, that's my preference. Now, as you know, limited release, the price tag, of course, is a problem. But you're also getting, you know, 50 ml more, right? Because, you know, the GOODMAN's 50 ml and the, right, and the Bergdorf GOODMAN is 100 ml, so you're getting double the fragrance. This Bergdorf GOODMAN, the new release, is just, it's off the chain. It's, I would say, you know, if you do have budget constrictions, sell off some of your fragrance. You can always recoup those, but when you have limited releases, like the Bergdorf GOODMAN, you know, like they did with Manhattan, right? They released Manhattan, the Parfum, Manhattan Parfum, and then they released a different version in the EDP of the Manhattan for considerably less of a price. Whether they're gonna do that with this one, I have no idea, because they went from GOODMAN's to Bergdorf GOODMAN, and they intensified the scent. They made it much better. It's much, much, much better. You just, your body just melds into it. When you lift up your shirt and, you know, you stick your face in there, and you could smell it, the difference between GOODMAN's and Bergdorf GOODMAN. This fragrance, I can't say enough about it. So if you can somehow, some way, and you're a fragrance connoisseur and you want to make this purchase, somehow, some way, find a way to get it if you can. If you can't, you know, maybe you can find a decant somewhere, or eventually someone will, if you wait, if you're patient, someone will sell off theirs maybe at a little cheaper price, or this will end up as a collection like Love, right? I saw Love, that's a discontinued, that was a limited release a few years back, and I think I saw it for $5 grand on eBay. That's insane. But anyway, so that's where I'm at on this. Here's the bottles of the GOODMAN. Always great presentation. ROJA's presentation. Here's the new one, right? Now the look at that. That the plaque is aluminum, and it has a little bit of plastic film on it. That is a beautiful bottle right there. It exudes class big time, and all of ROJA's fragrances or bottles exude class. Even the ones, you know, the Parfum, all the Parfum releases of Scandal and those. But anyway, so you know, you can. GOODMAN's has been discontinued, and it's been re-released or reimagined as Bergdorf GOODMAN. And like I said, Me personally, I do prefer the Bergdorf Goodman. It's a much more superior scent, and I'm being honest with you. And you know, if you get your hands on it somehow, some way, do it. If you prefer a more woody aspect, and it's Goodman's, and if you already have Goodman's, that's great. I wouldn't go too crazy overspending on the discontinued Goodman's, okay? There's a reason why it was discontinued, and like I said, there's a reason why they reimagined Bergdorf Goodman, okay? So, once again, happy holidays. This is my review / comparison of Goodman's original, Roger Puffham's original release of Goodman's versus the newest release here in 2023 of Bergdorf Goodman. And that's my review, and thank you for watching. Feel free to leave a comment or two if you want to talk about it. It's really a great scent, and you know, thank you once again. We'll see you next time.